The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Tuesday, May 30th, 2023 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. The Secretary will read.
Senator Rivera moves to discharge from the Committee on Health. Assembly Bill number 4332 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 2930. Third reading count is 621. Senator Rivera moves to discharge from the Committee on Health. Assembly Bill number 2400 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6219. Third reading count is 624. Senator Sanders moves to discharge from the Committee on Banks. Assembly Bill number 5519 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 5972. Third reading count is 666. Senator Hoyman Siegel moves to discharge from the Committee on Finance. Assembly Bill number 458 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 548. Third reading count is 671. Senator Hoyman Siegel moves to discharge from the Committee on Investigation and Government Operations. Assembly Bill number 1025 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 50. Third reading count is 695. Senator Griffo moves to discharge from the Committee on Judiciary. Assembly Bill number 6907 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6591. Third reading count is 797. Senator Griffo moves to discharge from the Committee on Consumer Protection. Assembly Bill number 4456 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 4617. Third reading count is 999. Senator Harcum moves to discharge from the Committee on Transportation. Assembly Bill number 150 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 2702. Third reading count of 1006. Senator Palumbo moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 7354 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7072. Third reading count 1128. Senator Walczak moves to discharge from the Committee on Codes. Assembly Bill number 4994 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 4384. Third reading count 1133. Senator Skoufis moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 6107 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 2724A. Third reading count 1139. Senator Lanza moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 6569 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 4827. Third reading count 1144. Senator Mannion moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7432 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6946. Third reading count 1154. Senator Martinez moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7435 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6948. Third reading count 1156. Senator Fernandez moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7436 substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6949. Third reading count 1157. Senator Mannion moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7439 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6950. Third reading count 1158. Senator Chu moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7440 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6951. Third reading count 1159. Senator Chu moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7441 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6952. Third reading count 1160. Senator Webb moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7442 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6953. Third reading count 1161. Senator Webb moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7443 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6954. Third reading count 1162. Senator Thomas moves to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation. Assembly Bill number 7438 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7056. Third reading count 1164. Senator Ashby moves to discharge from the Committee on Libraries. Assembly Bill number 1313 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 4389. Third reading count 1211. Senator Prasad moves to discharge from the Committee on Social Services. Assembly Bill number 7361 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6944. Third reading count 1219. Senator Hoyman Siegel moves to discharge from the Committee on Judiciary. Assembly Bill number 6587 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6854. Third reading count 1247. Senator Sanders moves to discharge from the Committee on Banks. Assembly Bill number 7172 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6920. Third reading count 1252. Senator Hoyman Siegel moves to discharge from the Committee on Finance. Assembly Bill number 358 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 3225, third reading calendar 1276. Senator Ashby moves to discharge from the Committee on Finance. Assembly Bill number 5075 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 5539, third reading calendar 1284. Senator Thomas moves to discharge from the Committee on Consumer Protection. Assembly Bill number 7401 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7059, third reading calendar 1358. Senator Rivera moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 6029 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 2339, third reading calendar 1362.
So ordered. Messages from the governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good morning, Madam President. Amendments offered to the following third reading calendar bills by Senator Skoufis, calendar 842, Senator Stewart-Cousins, calendar 1408, and Senator Sanders, calendar 254.
The bills will retain their place on the third reading calendar.
Call up the following bills, which were recalled from the Assembly and are now at the desk. Senate print numbers 599 and 4354.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 75, Senate Print 599 by Senator Salazar, an act to amend the insurance law. Calendar number 479, Senate Print 4354 by Senator Breslin, an act to amend the insurance law.
Move to reconsider the vote by which these bills were passed.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White, ayes 55.
The bills are restored to their place on the third reading calendar.
I offer the following amendments.
The amendments are received, and the bills will retain their place on the third reading calendar.
Please recognize Senator Lanza.
Senator Lanza.
Madam President, amendments are offered to the following third reading calendar bills. Senator Steck, calendar 876, Senator Canzaneri Fitzpatrick, calendar 1111, Senator Matera, calendar 1285. Madam President, I now move that these bills retain their place on the order of third reading.
The amendments are received, and the bills will retain their place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, just to inform my colleagues, with a week to go in session and the volume of bills we're taking up increasing, we're going to move to a process where we take up resolutions who do not have guests present at the end of session, as opposed to at the beginning, so we can clear the legislative business first, with some rare exceptions. That being said, our first resolution with guests here is previously adopted Resolution 1285 by Leader Stewart-Cousins. Please read that resolution's title and recognize Leader Stewart-Cousins.
The Secretary will read.
Resolution 1285 by Senator Stewart-Cousins, honoring the hard work, dedication, and commitment of the members of the New York State Legislature Messenger Service.
On the resolution.
Thank you so much, Madam President. And it is exciting to have the guests here in the chamber to be recognized. Our messenger service has been serving the people of New York State and the legislative colleagues for 50 years this year. And it was an innovative program in 1973, and it has become more than just an innovative program. It has really been for us the lifeblood of our communications. And the fact that we have so many dedicated employees, not only are you inspirational to each and every one of us the way you go through your work, but you're also inspirational to others. When people come in with their groups, when they come in with their high-powered corporations, they recognize that there are people who are working in state government at the highest level of importance, who can contribute every single moment. And they go back to their companies and wonder how they can open doors and create opportunities. At our very best, that's what government is about: removing hurdles, removing obstacles, and giving people a path to show their very best. And you, in this service to us, show your very best every single day. I want to thank your leadership. I know Kevin Cather, who's the director, and Beth Bonesty, the Assistant Director, for being those guides and making sure that every day for you is not only productive for you, but it is productive for us and is productive for the entire state. We are honored, and I am so excited. Yesterday was Sneaker Day, and today, you know, and like I said, when you think about sneakers, you think about speed, you think about reliability, and I don't think there's anyone that exemplifies speed, reliability, more than you and our messengers. So I am so happy that many of your family members are here. We are looking forward to celebrating even more. After this, there is a reception on the 4th floor where our messengers can come with their families. And again, really, we don't get a chance to appreciate you because you're running through your jobs and we're running through ours. But we really are honored to be able to take this moment and personally thank you in front of everyone in the state, everyone in government, everyone who does not know how important you are to the workings of this great, great state. The other thing, there are people who I want to point out, because you're going to get, all of you, certificates for what you do. Some people have been doing this for over 3 decades. And so I just want you to stand if you're here. Valerie Zay, 33 years. Stand up if you're here. Patrick O'Hara, 36 years. Hey, Patrick. Kathy O'Brien, 30 years. Hey, Kathy. Kimberly Lapp, 35 years. Sharon Forcutis, 33 years. Adam Denenberg, 37 years. And Michael Cohen, 30 years. Thank you for your diligence. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for being with us so long. You make us all better, and hopefully your service to us makes you proud as well. Congratulations to our messengers.
Senator Ort on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Hard to add much to that. I want to thank my colleague, the Majority Leader, Senator Stewart Cousins, for her comments. I want to thank the majority for bringing this resolution to the floor. We talk a lot about, I think about at the end of budget, I think about at the end of session. We always try to give recognition to the staff and to a lot of the people in this place here in the Capitol that make it work, that make it what it is, because I can assure you it is not exclusively, certainly, the 63 members of the Senate or the 150 members of the Assembly. There are a lot of folks whose you'll never see on TV, which I'm sure they're fine with, and there's a lot of folks who do a lot of great work here in the Capitol that make it go, that make it work for the people in New York. And you are in that group of people. And I can promise you the 63 members in this chamber know that. And on behalf of the Republican Conference, I want to thank you not only for the important work that you do, walking miles every day. Really, you think about the amount of that they walk across the LOB, the Capitol, back to the LOB, delivering, as the Majority Leader said, very important documents that our offices need to make sure that we're able to do the work that we were elected to do. You are a part of that, and you should never doubt your importance and your significance to making our state government work for the public, but it's also the way you do it. Very often, when I see any one of you, you know, I'm probably walking around sometimes, maybe, with less than a smile on my face. Sometimes. But whenever I see all of you, you got a smile on your face. How's it going? You know, you extend your hand. You are always, and this is really true, you are always in a positive mood, because I think you always remember how lucky and privileged you are to be able to be a part of what we do here. And we would all benefit to remember that and emulate your attitude and the positivity that I see all of you have in the hallways as and everyone knows all of you. You're all sort of secret rock stars. The members know you. I want to thank, I got a lot of artwork from Billy in my office. Yep. Some of it I think looks like me, but it's a lot of good artwork in my office, and that's just impromptu. He just stops by and does that, and that takes a certain level of selflessness and a thought for others. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you again for what you do here, but more importantly for how you do it. I can tell you've brightened my day a number of times, and obviously there's the important role that you play. So on behalf of not only the State Senate, but certainly our conference, we thank you for what you do. Congratulations on 50 years is tremendous, and I have no doubt that you'll be here, and this program will be here for 50 years more going forward. So thank you very much for everything you guys do. God bless you. Madam President, thank you.
Senator Ort. Senator Comrie on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to thank the leader and for putting this presentation together, for acknowledging the 50 years of service of the messengers, and to just, you know, it's been a good week here, I think, in Albany. We've been doing a lot of things that the entire body and the entire state can appreciate, honoring people that have truly put in the work and have truly made a difference in our lives by making sure that our important papers get delivered with a positive spirit and a hello. And, you know, when they're moving around, you can feel their energy, you can feel their exuberance, you can feel that they are focused on trying to do the right job and at the right time with the right attitude. So I just hope that that permeates throughout the chambers in the next week as we try to be positive about the things that we have to do in the next week so we can shut down our legislative agenda for the year. But I also just wanted to thank the messengers for reminding all of us of what we need to be, focused on making sure that we radiate the positive energy that you guys consistently do as you're moving around. You make my heart warm as you're flying by me all the time, getting to your locations to do the things you want to do, to make sure that you're representing us in the proper way. And I just wanted to take the opportunity and the honor to thank all of you for your consistency, for your efforts, and please continue to make us proud. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Comrie. Senator Mannion on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. As chair of the Committee on Disabilities, I want to use two words, and one word is access, and the other word is success. Can you imagine what it would be like in the Legislative Office Building and other places if this program had never been initiated 50 years ago? The access to employment is essential, and we benefit from that access every single day. It shows in the success that we all have and how reliant we are on the messenger service to make sure that we get things done from an efficiency standpoint, from a commitment standpoint, and from a cultural standpoint. So I thank you for your service to the state, and I thank you for your friendship that I have established with many of you as a result of our connection in making this state a better place. Thank you, and thank you, Madam President.
Senator Bailey on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I really want to thank the leader for introducing this resolution. It is truly, as Senator Connery said, another feel-good day in this chamber. You are the truly, not just hidden rock stars, you are the rock stars of this, that you literally permit us to do the jobs that we do every single day. And one of the things that is always, not just your exuberance and your joy, which is always obvious. You do something that is not only literal, but metaphorical. You always stop for us. No matter what you're doing, no matter how much of a hurry you're in, you always stop to say hello. That's something that we don't do enough of in life. We don't stop and observe our surroundings. We don't stop and say hello and good morning. Every single one of you, anytime you see any of us, you stop and you say hello. That is something that people outside of this chamber have somehow failed to realize that is a part of what we should be doing, but you have not forgotten. And quite frankly, you remind me of it every day. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Adam for reminding me that Wakanda Forever was coming out. Adam was telling me that Wakanda Forever, he was more hyped than I was. There's a month to go. There's 3 weeks to go. There's 2 weeks to go. Anytime I need to know what the score of the Met game was last night, Molly knows it. And I'll leave you with this, that you speak about the selflessness. It's something that I said to Molly once upon a time. I said, Molly, you do an excellent job in immediately response. It's not me. It's my team. It's all of us. All of us work hard. And that's what true leadership is about. You are all incredible leaders in your own right. We are so lucky to have you. We congratulate you. 50 years of hip-hop and 50 years of messenger services, it's not a coincidence. You both have influenced this state in an amazing way. I vote aye, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. Senator Tedisco on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. To Billy, let me say I'm a little bit jealous of Leader Ort here. I thought you only did artwork for me. But apparently that's not the case. And Madam President, and to our messengers and our colleagues, I felt that I would be remiss if I didn't get up after representing over 80 years of those 50 years that you've been involved with this service here. And I appreciate that. And this is a special day for all of us. Because as much as you've been bringing messages to us, we've never, as I can remember being in the Assembly, in the Senate, for now 41, going on 42 years of those 50 years, ever been able to give a message to you on the floor of the New York State Senate. And I want to give you that message. We thank you. We appreciate you. Your excellence is above and beyond. And I have one special word for all of you. Besides the normalcy which you provide, which Senator Bailey presented to us when we stop and talk to you, which kind of takes us away from the everyday activities here. There's one special word that really identifies all of you, and somebody made that famous. I don't even remember the guy that made that famous, but I want to stop speaking right now and say to you, you are marvelous. Congratulations.
Senator Scarcella Spanton on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to our leader for bringing this to the floor today. I just want to say thank you all for the work that you do every single day. Every time I see you, I know that you're coming into my office to make my life easier, and I think I would actually be a mess without all of your help. So I wanted to just say thank you for the hard work and dedication that you do. I know that your families who are here in the gallery today must be so incredibly proud to sit here and see you be honored for the job that you all do so well. And I know Molly often sees me walking my puppy around outside of the Capitol, so I know she always loves that. And Billy, I want some artwork for my office too. But thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you do. I proudly vote aye.
Senator Sepulveda on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to add a few words to some of the comments that have been made here by our leader, Stuart Cousin, Leader Ort, and my colleagues, so I don't have to duplicate that. But I just want to tell you, from a personal experience, that there are many times in this body, and many times in our offices, in the hallways, where I'm upset about something, I'm feeling down about something, I'm feeling like I'm having a terrible day. And I can't tell you guys how many times when I'm in that mood and I see one of you coming out of the elevator or bringing something to my office, or I see you in the hallway, how that big smile that you give me changes the entire trajectory of my day. Over the last 10 and a half years that I've been here, so many times, you guys have changed my mindset in a positive way, and I could never repay you for that. But everyone here spoke about the greatness of what you do. Everyone spoke about the program itself. But to every person here, every person that knows all of you, you guys are the most valuable players in the Senate, and I dare say, in the legislature. So thank you so much for the great work that you do. Molly, thank you for always smiling. Everyone, all of you, thank you for smiling and changing the minds of many of us, because sometimes we have a rough day, and you change that day for us. God bless you all.
Senator Kennedy on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to thank our Majority Leader, Stuart Cousins, again for making this day such a special day. And, 50 years is an amazing time. And the fact that so many of you have been doing your work on a daily basis, serving our great state, working with us to make government happen here in New York, is a true testament to your character, who you are, and how you treat your job each and every day. To hear 30 years here and 30 years there and another 30 years. I know Adam was mentioned. You know what I love about Adam? Every time I see him, he says, "Go Bills." So it reminds me I'm not the only Buffalo Bills fan around here. And Senator Ort mentioned the fact that he has all these special tributes from Billy. Well, I was kind of disappointed because I thought I was the only one, Billy. I thought I was your guy. But, I think we're all your guy and gals. You work so hard each and every day to help make us look good. And we appreciate you. And we thank you for everything that you do for us, for our teams, to help make government operate here in the great state of New York. We couldn't do what we do without you. And we owe you all a great tribute today, but a debt of gratitude each and every day. Thank you so much.
Senator Stavisky on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not going to repeat what has been said, but if my memory is correct, the Legislative Messenger Service, when it began, was a result of the service of a state senator on the other side of the aisle. His name was Senator Conklin, and he was from Brooklyn, if my memory is correct. And it was his dedication that I believe led to the creation of the Legislative Messenger Service. Secondly, I want to pay tribute to the parents in the gallery. I understand that Michael Cohen and his mother have done a book, and it's the parents that I think work together with their children and with the legislature, and we are grateful to the parents also. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Stavisky. Senator Hoylman-Siegel on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. There's so much love and mutual respect in this room right now. I want to thank the leader for bringing this resolution to the floor, and of course, to this amazing team and their family. It reminds me, in my Senate district, there's an enormous building with Roman colonnades with an inscription at the top. It's a former post office, but I think the motto applies to you here today. It says, "Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds." I think that applies to you. My heartfelt thanks. I vote aye.
Thank you. To our guests from the Legislative Messenger Service and their families, we welcome you on behalf of the Senate, We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of the House. Please rise and be recognized. The resolution was previously adopted on May 31st. Senator Gianaris.
Can we now take up together previously adopted resolutions 1162 and 1194, both by Senator May? Read their titles and recognize Senator May.
The Secretary will read.
Resolution 1162 by Senator May, commemorating the 175th anniversary of the Syracuse City School District to be celebrated on May 8, 2023. Resolution 1194 by Senator May, commemorating the 175th anniversary of the City of Syracuse, New York.
Senator May on the resolutions.
Thank you, Madam President. Syracuse and its school district recently turned 175 years old, and though they're getting up there in years, I've got to say the future looks bright. Back in 2000, I chose to move to Syracuse because I believed it would be a great place to live, work, and especially to raise my daughter. With an abundance of natural beauty, a strong sense of community, world-class institutions like Syracuse University, SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry, and Upstate Medical University, a thriving arts and culture scene, and increasingly a foodie scene, I am glad to report that I made the absolutely correct choice to call Syracuse home. First, a happy 175th birthday to our school district. One of the big 5 school districts in the state, SCSD serves almost 19,000 students daily, with students from more than 60 countries who speak almost 90 languages. My daughter attended Ed Smith and graduated from Nottingham High School, and I could not be more proud to be the parent of a Syracuse City School District alum. The former superintendent, Jaime Alicea, set the district up for a new generation of successes, and now his successor, Anthony Davis, is putting all his energy into ensuring that we continue that history. Both Jaime and Tony started their careers in the schools at Syracuse City School District and worked their way up to become truly remarkable leaders. I am glad to be their partner here in Albany and congratulate the district on 175 years of important service to our community. Turning to the city of Syracuse, it has a powerful history and a great future as well. It was on the shores of Onondaga Lake centuries ago that the peacemaker came from the north and brought the first 5 nations of the Haudenosaunee together to create the Great Law of Peace, setting the stage for one of North America's great native civilizations that endures to this day and that shaped our own democracy. Obviously, much has changed since that time, but knowing that history and the legacy of the original inhabitants of the land should and does inspire us to do our very best as a city. We have been a central location for the fight for abolition, for women's equality, for civil rights, for clean air and water, a welcoming home for new Americans from many backgrounds. All of that is a testament to the legacy that we inherit from the original dwellers in the land where Syracuse now is. The city of Syracuse that grew up on the shores of Onondaga Lake is known as the Salt City because of its natural environment and the industries that grew up around it. The salt springs that were on the shore of Onondaga Lake brought settlers from Europe who saw a lot of potential for making money there. It was a very lucrative industry producing salt, and in fact the tax on the salt that was produced in Syracuse is what paid for a lot of the Erie Canal to be built across the state, and it was to bring the salt from Syracuse to New York City was one of the major motivations for building the Erie Canal in the first place. once the salt industry the salt dried up, a lot of the salt dried up, but also there were other places in the country that were producing salt, so Syracuse turned more to industry and became a major industrial center in the country. And then in the mid-20th century, we turned to the eds and meds economy, a mixture of great educational and institutions and hospitals. And now we're turning back to becoming more of a manufacturing center with Micron and other industries really setting their sights on central New York. With all of these investments, Syracuse is surging, and not just economically, but in many ways. As we prepare to tear down the I-81 viaduct that has rended our city in two pieces, we want to knit the city back together and really restore the sense of unity in our city that was destroyed by that project 50 years ago. With the leadership of former Mayor Stephanie Miner and current Mayor Ben Walsh, and a new generation of leaders that represent the thriving diversity of Syracuse's growing community, we are investing in new opportunities. The new Central Tech STEAM School, which we as a body help to fund, will soon come online. Local businesses like JMA Wireless and TCG Player, shout out to the CWA members who are organizing the first union shop in the eBay empire here in our city. So many other institutions that are really bringing our city into to be a world leader in the 21st century. I could go on, but I will wrap up with this thought. Mayor Walsh has long talked about his goal for Syracuse to be a growing city that embraces diversity and creates opportunity for all. We are making strides in that direction. There is still a lot to be done. There is still too much poverty, too much hunger, not enough quality, affordable housing, among other challenges. But for what feels like the first time in many years, all the elements are in place to make good on the vision that I share with Mayor Walsh, nurturing growth, embracing diversity, and setting up opportunity for each and every person calling Syracuse home. I am honored to be a Syracuse resident and honored to vote aye on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator May. The resolutions were previously adopted on May 31st. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, at this time, please recognize Senator Bailey for an introduction.
Senator Bailey for an introduction.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to make a brief introduction. This is June, and we're starting off Black Music Month, and it's also, as I've mentioned probably 3,000 times, the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, and we have some folks from Universal Records Group, music group, who are here today to celebrate how they've been able to contribute to the 50 years of hip-hop, and also just the state of music in New York, specifically Def Jam. Def Jam was one of those record labels that really helped to give a sound to what hip-hop was, LL, and some things but maybe we can say that next week when Senator Comrie and I have a robust discussion about where hip-hop started. It's the Bronx, but just let everybody know. But I want to recognize by name Charles Woodellington, the Senior Manager of Public Policy of Government Relations. He works closely with Universal's task force for meaningful change that works to support marginalized communities in the ongoing fight for equality and justice and inclusion, all the way from D.C. And Alexandra Williams, the public affairs lead, who works specifically with a particular focus on Latin America and to figure out how to make Universal a more global public policy, joining us from New York City. I thank you for coming, and Madam President, if you could extend to them the privileges and courtesies of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. To our guests, we welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of the House. Please rise and be recognized. Senator Gianaris.
I now recognize Senator Sepulveda for another introduction.
Senator Sepulveda for an introduction.
Thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to make this introduction. So today we are honored having a delegation from the Gauteng province in South Africa. They came to join us today to have a discussion about exchange of ideas, about government. Professor Kevin Parker gave them a lecture on our budgets. on our legislative process, on our oversight process, and we're going to continue those discussions. I want to thank my colleagues who joined us today, and I want to mention the delegation individuals that are here with us this morning. And I hope I don't mess up anyone's name, but the leader of the delegation is Mr. Bongirikosi Wesley Dlamini. We also have members of Parliament, Mr. Lesego Makubela, another member of Parliament, Ms. Fasisha Hassan. Another member of Parliament is William Mathafeng Matishiki, Ms. Dali Caroline Ledwaba, Mr. Soli Chesipche Piso Misimanga, Mr. Alan Joseph Fuchs. He made sure I pronounced that properly. Explained the difference in letter pronunciation in South Africa and here. Mr. Anton DeWall Alberts, also a member of Parliament. Mr. Dalton Adams, member of Parliament. Ms. Nathael Gracious Diamani, she is the senior committee researcher. Ms. Neo Sharon Montisi, also a senior committee coordinator. And Mr. Mezwaneli Langa, who is the Council Political and Chargé d'Affaires of the Consulate General of South Africa. Please help me in welcoming them to our body here today. I want to thank you for being here, and I hope this is just the beginning of a long relationship where we can continue to learn from your government and you can continue to learn from ours. Thank you.
To our distinguished guests from South Africa, we welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of the House. Please rise and be recognized. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, Leader Stewart-Cousins and Senator May would like to open up the resolutions we took up for co-sponsorship.
The resolutions are open for co-sponsorship. Should anyone choose not to co-sponsor, please notify the desk.
Madam President, this time we're going to simultaneously have a meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332 and take up the calendar.
There'll be an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332. The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 124, Senate Print 1137 by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the banking law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 176, Senate Print 1087 by Senator Comrie, an act to amend the public authorities law and the economic development law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this action take effect on the 90th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 331, Senate Print 993A by Senator Hoyman Siegel, an act to amend the mental hygiene law. Section 2, this action take effect on the 30th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Thank you. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 331, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Kazari Fitzpatrick, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, Ort, and Rhodes. Ayes 50, nays 8.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 337, Senate Print 2472 by Senator Clear, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 342, Senate Print 2284 by Senator Clear, enactment of the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Clear to explain her vote.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam President. In 2021, the most recent year for which complete data is available, 48,830 people died from gun-related injuries in the United States, according to the CDC. Access to firearms through undocumented attainment allows for the surfacing of unidentified and untraceable firearms, which contribute to the epidemic of violence in our communities. And while the state may keep statistics on the volume of production of milk or the depths of small ponds, we have no idea exactly how many firearms are sold and or distributed in our state. Therefore, this legislation requires the monitoring of manufacturers and keeping records of their firearms sales by the Department of Criminal Justice Service. Firearms are inherently dangerous weapons, and knowing how many are being sold in our state should be baseline common knowledge. Moreover, the recording and supervision of firearm manufacturing sales at least give us a picture of where guns that are used illegally originate from and how they may change hands. Through this legislation, the Department of Criminal Justice Service will have more resources in order to determine a whole host of important considerations with respect to firearms in our state. I proudly vote aye and encourage my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Senator Clear to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 342, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzani Fitzpatrick, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Steck, Tedisco, and Walzik. Ayes 46. Also, Senator Weber and Senator Rollison. Ayes 44, nays 14.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 389, Senate Print 3531A by Senator Skoufis, enactment to amend the executive law and the energy law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 389, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzani Fitzpatrick, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzik, and Weber. Ayes 45, nays 13.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 407, Senate Print 1646 by Senator Hoylman Siegel, enactment of the civil practice law and rules.
Read the last section.
Section 6, this act shall take effect on the 60th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Canzaneri Fitzpatrick to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. As many people here may know, I am an attorney and very proud of what I've accomplished, and I'm very proud to be an attorney that is put in a position of trust when people are in the most vulnerable positions. While I understand that there may be a goal to have fairness, I do believe that character is a critical prerequisite to the practice of law. If a person has something that they've had in their past that they need to explain to the character committee, it's, in my opinion, an opportunity for them to explain that this experience has allowed them to build character and reflect on their past conduct that may now be something that they would never choose to do at this point. I do think that the letter that we have received from all of the judges of the various appellate divisions, as well as the acting chief judge, that says that we are putting the public in jeopardy to pass this law, I take that with a lot of weight because they are dealing with so many attorneys in the practice of law. So for that reason, I will be voting no, and I urge my colleagues to do so also. Thank you.
Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick to be recorded in the negative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 407, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzoneri Fitzpatrick, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollinson, Skoufis, Steck, Tedisco, Walzek, and Weber. Ayes 43, nays 15.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 476, Senate Print 1471 by Senator Breslin, enactment of the insurance law and the vehicle and traffic law.
Read the last section.
Section 9, this action take effect on the 270th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 621, Assembly number 4332 by Assemblymember Gunther, enact to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this action take effect on the 90th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 621, voted in the negative, Senator Mannion. Ayes 57, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 624, Assembly number 2400 by Assemblymember Paulin, enactment of the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 630, Senate Print 3234A by Senator Hoyman Siegel, enact to amend the insurance law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this action take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 630, voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Lanza, Oberacker, Ort, and Steck. Ayes 53, nays 5.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 655, Senate Print 5640 by Senator Ramos, enact to amend the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 657, Senate Print 157 by Senator Kruger, enactment of the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect on the 90th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Senator Chu to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President, for giving me this opportunity to explain how important it is to support this legislation. And I would like to thank my colleague, Senator Kruger, for bringing this to all our attention. Because in 2021, just in New York City, we have over 100 fire cases started related to this battery-related caused by e-bike or e-scooter. And just by 2022, the number doubled to over 200 cases. In Southern Brooklyn, where I represent the community, just last year, within 12 months, I saw 4 cases, fire cases related to this caused by e-bike, e-scooter, lithium-ion battery issue. And it's really important for, especially for like immigrant community, working family, because many of them who utilize this battery for as delivery or how you sustain to provide for your family as a transportation. And one of the case in my district last year, one fire caused over 140 families got displaced simply because of those batteries. So I really would like to emphasize how important this legislation is, because this legislation is one right step and also one of the first steps we have to take to ensure our community and our family can be safe and feel safer. And instead of feeling you're living next to an unstable tickling bomb. So I really would like to emphasize this. For all this reason, I vote aye, and hopefully all my colleagues in the chamber can support it. Thank you.
Senator Chu to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Kruger to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. I so appreciate my colleague speaking on behalf of my bill. I just wanted also to rise to explain this is a crucial health and safety issue. There are absolutely, as Senator Chu just pointed out, fires going on all over the city of New York that we know are caused by the illegal use of the secondary market reused batteries. Once they start to burn, because they're usually packaged in groups for purposes on e-bikes and other small vehicles, they start to burn so hot and so fast that the fire department can't even put out these fires in time. And people have been dying, have suffered horrendous burns, spreading throughout multifamily dwellings, private houses. And the fact is, we have to establish new regulations to deal with the new world we're living in, with lithium-ion batteries being used for so many purposes. I do want to, for intents of the legislature, go on the record that it is not the intent of this bill to put these same requirements on larger industrial uses. I even understand there are forklifts that now are using batteries, and of course we know there are cars that use batteries. Of course we must have safety standards for them as well, and I suspect there will be other bills in the future to address the continuing growth in battery-powered products that are good for our environment and overall good for us, but this was specifically targeted to the smaller products, the e-bikes and electric moped-type products that are wreaking havoc in the city of New York at this point in time. So I also urge a vote yes by everyone. Thank you.
Senator Krueger to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Ramos to explain her vote.
Madam President, I'm so happy to be voting for this legislation today, and I want to commend and thank Senator Krueger for her crucial initiative in addressing all of the fires that truly have devastated so many families across New York. And I wanted to add some context to the plight of the deliveristas, who often are the ones who incur all of the overhead of the work that they have to do. They buy the bike, they have to even buy the thermal bags that carry our food in order, for it to travel as best as possible. The big companies like Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and the like actually do not cover any of that overhead for them. And it had pushed them then to look to second-use ion batteries as a way to save money. And quite frankly, it needed to be banned because lithium-ion batteries, second-use lithium-ion batteries, have been banned in nearly every other electronic, and it just didn't make sense that we hadn't done so for e-bikes as well. So right now, as the deliveristas in New York City are actually fighting for a decent living wage, and then the New York City mayor can take action on that today, we hope that this will at least provide families with solace and with the peace of mind that we all deserve. Thank you.
Senator Ramos to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 663, Senate Print 5823C by Senator Mayer, enactment of the general business law.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 666, Senate Print 5519 by Senator Hunter, enactment of the banking law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 666, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Morello, Canzone Fitzpatrick, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzik, and Weber. Ayes 44, nays 14.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 671, Senate Assembly number 458 by Assemblymember Epstein, enactment of the real property law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Fitzpatrick. In relation to calendar 671, voting in the negative, Senator Canzone Fitzpatrick. Ayes 57, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 691, Senate Print 1672 by Senator Adabo, enactment of the highway law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 695, Assembly number 1025 by Assemblymember Bashad Hermelin, enactment of the public buildings law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 695, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Kanzanetti, Fitzpatrick, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Tedisco, Walzick, and Weber. Ayes 47, nays 11.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 726, Senate Print 3133 by Senator Mannion, enactment of the highway law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins.
Senator Borrello to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I want to thank Senator Mannion for bringing this forward. We talk a lot about what we can do to expand broadband access, particularly in our rural areas, but unfortunately, still one of the biggest barriers to the expansion of broadband, despite the state's efforts to provide funding, is bureaucracy and other hurdles. One of the biggest ones, and the most egregious in my opinion, was the fact that the Department of Transportation requires the resurveying of utility poles when you are simply adding fiber optic cable to them. Now, I'm not an expert on utility poles, but I'm pretty sure they don't get up and move around. So this is really ridiculous, it's expensive, and it delays the expansion of broadband. So this bill, in part, does address that, as well as other things, like ensuring that those out there that are trying to expand broadband access realize that there are grants available, that there is indeed state funding, and we're not just talking about it. So, again, thank you to Senator Mannion for that, and I proudly vote aye.
Senator Borrello to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 728, Senate Print 4273 by Senator Lanza, enactment of the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the 180th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 744, Assembly number 3057 by Assemblymember Cruz, enactment of the Criminal Procedure Law. Got it?
The bill is laid aside for the day.
Calendar number 761, Senate Print 2164A by Senator Liu, enactment of the Legislative Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 761, voted in the negative, Senator Lanza. Ayes 57, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 765, Senate Print 291 by Senator Tedisco, enactment of the Legislative Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Tedisco to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, my colleagues, I'm honored to have been able to author this particular piece of legislation and see it come in a bipartisan way to the floor, and I thank you all very much for your support of it. I think it was Winston Churchill who once said, "Our representative democracy is the worst form of government in all the world, except for all the rest." And I think he was absolutely right about that. What I don't know if he said or not, but I know is a truism, we're the greatest nation in the world also. And we're the greatest nation in the world for one overriding reason. We've got a great Constitution. It's an unbelievable document. We had some wonderful founding fathers. We make it better over years. And this document chronicles everything we were born into this world with, all our freedoms and all our liberties. No man nor woman has given us the freedoms incorporated in this. But we're the greatest nation in the world because of our veterans, because of the best, the brightest, the most courageous and compassionate fighting force in the world, the men and women of the armed forces. Why? Because every human being in every other nation in the world has these same freedoms and liberties. Because of them, we get to live these freedoms and liberties at the highest level of any group of people in any nation in any part of our world. Recently, on Memorial Day, we honored those people who gave the last measure on Memorial Day. But every single one of our veterans, when they sign up, understand they're willing to give up everything they hold dear for us. So we as individuals can have everything we hold dear for ourselves and our families. If anybody should be seeing the representative democracy, sometimes they call it the way the sausage is made, the good, the bad, the ugly of their government, which they were willing to die for, it should be our veterans. This bill will provide them the same opportunity as those outstanding interns we've had over the years. And I've had some great interns. I think we should have a day where we honor our interns here on this floor because they do an unbelievable job for us. I've hired, and probably you have also, hired several of our college interns. It's a great program, unbelievable program, and they provide us great service. But there's one group that overridingly, if we can, get them into this building and see what they're putting their lives on the line for, in many instances, giving up their lives for. And it's this nation, it's this representative democracy. It's the greatest nation in the world. I hired my last intern. He's been with me for 7 years. His name's Alex Blazinski. Fantastic worker. Loves this country, loves working in the legislature. And I bet you have many of your interns, which you feel the same way about. Why is this important? Number one, everybody, all our constituents, should be in this room watching what we do in here when they have the time. Unfortunately, they're very busy. But certainly, those who make this type of government possible should have the opportunity to see the inner workings. But secondly, they come back from their service in many instances, putting their lives on the line. They haven't been in the workforce. They haven't got any income coming. We provide a stipend for our interns. We provide a stipend for these VIP, very important persons, our veterans. And thirdly, we'd give them something to put on their resume. I think it would be a positive. I hope it would be a positive. But maybe lastly, and most importantly, they can help exemplify to us and the college interns they work with the work ethic, the honor, the loyalty, the love of country and patriotism, and the tremendous asset. They were not only there for us as soldiers and now as veterans, but as workers for us in here. So, Madam President, I appreciate the opportunity to bring this to the floor. I thank you for supporting it, and I vote yes.
Senator Tedisco to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the result.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 778, Senate Print 2362 by Senator Rivera, enactment of the election law.
The bill is laid aside for the day.
Calendar number 781, Senate Print 5943 by Senator Skoufis, enactment of the election law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act to take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to calendar 781, those senators voting in the negative are Senators Kanzani, Fitzpatrick, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rhodes, Rolison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzick, and Weber. Ayes 45, nays 13.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 783, Senate Print 1104 by Senator Comrie, enactment of the Public Authorities Law and the Public Lands Law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the 90th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to calendar, is it? Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 797, Assembly number 6907 by Assemblymember Buttonshin, enactment of the Judiciary Law.
There's a home rule message at the desk. Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 814, Senate Print 6585 by Senator Stavisky, enactment chapter 548 of the laws of 2004.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 821, Senate Print 5957 by Senator Harkam, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law.
We'll read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 821, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Steck, and Walzick. Ayes 52, nays 6.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 828, Senate Print 1110 by Senator Comrie, enactment of the Executive Law and the General Municipal Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 828, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Rhodes, Steck, Tedisco, and Walzek. Ayes 49, nays 9.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 829, Senate Print 1193 by Senator Fassad, enacted from the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed. Calendar 842, the bill is high and will be laid aside.
Calendar number 858, Senate Print 6328 by Senator Ramos, enacted from the Labor Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Scarcella Stanton to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Senator Ramos, for introducing this legislation that will protect the rights and livelihoods of call center workers here in New York. Call center workers often live with constant anxiety of losing their income and facing displacement if their employer loses a contract bid. This bill comes in the wake of the unfortunate closure of the Staten Island Easy Pass Center, which left many call center workers facing uncertain futures and displacement. It was horrifying to hear some of their stories throughout this process, and I'm really happy to be supporting this bill today. The closure highlighted the vulnerability of these call centers and the need for stronger protections to safeguard their jobs. This bill will provide these necessary protections for call center workers, particularly when contracts are terminated. It will also require new contractors to hire existing workers and protect collective bargaining agreements, which is a critical piece to this bill. Call center closures should not come at the expense of their workers, and this legislation is a reasonable and fair solution. Thank you again, Senator Ramos, for introducing this legislation and for advocating for the rights and well-being of call center workers. I proudly vote aye.
Stanton to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 858, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Kanzai Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzek, and Weber. Ayes 46, nays 12.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 859, Senate Print 6635 by Senator Ramos, enactment of the Workers' Compensation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 859, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Kanzai Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Helming, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzek, and Weber. Ayes 41, nays 17.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 885, Senate Print 1684A by Senator Henchy, enactment of the Emergency Tenant Protection Act of 1974.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Hinchy to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. As we know and we've discussed in this chamber, New York State is facing an unprecedented housing crisis. And here, with this majority in 2019, the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act was passed, which, among other things, allowed for municipalities to opt into tenant protection regulations if their municipality had a vacancy rate of less than 5%. This vacancy rate was to be determined by the completion of a survey by property owners within that given municipality. In a community that I represent, the city of Kingston, they had a vacancy rate study. And at the end of that study, it was deemed that their vacancy rate was 6.7%. Anecdotally, if you live in or around Kingston, you know that that number was false. When the city of Kingston themselves conducted their own survey, they found that the vacancy rate was actually more like 1.57%. And so this bill pretty simply now just requires that property owners actually complete the vacancy rate survey honestly and correctly the way that we've deemed it to be through the housing and tenant protections passed in 2019. It makes sure that property owners are honest about their vacancies, and it makes sure that they are consistent in when they are filling out that survey to actually get accurate information so that municipalities, when deemed necessary, can enact strong tenant protections. I'm really proud to carry this bill. I thank my colleagues for voting for it, and for that, Madam President, I vote aye. Thank you very much.
Senator Hinchey to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Palumbo to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. And although I do agree with the housing crisis issue and a lot of issues mentioned by the sponsor, and I have a lot of respect for the sponsor's positions on these types of issues, I unfortunately do have a problem with this bill, and I've had some individuals express concern because it's a means to an end that certainly needs to be properly achieved. But the protocols are not appropriate or accurate, I think, even in the language of this bill. For example, the surveys are done in New York City by the Census Bureau, which certainly has quality standards and so forth. And to make every municipality now statewide have to comply with this is unfortunately part of what's been an ongoing process that landlords are somehow villains. And if they were making improper notations, they were improperly filling out these surveys, then shame on them. And we do need to remedy that issue. But my concern is that we now have an ongoing, really bludgeoning of landlords. And what that is saying from a global standpoint to people outside of New York is don't invest in real estate in New York. Because as a landlord, you do need those individuals to be solvent, to actually have the ability to not have to deal with more burdensome regulations, because they're the ones who are building this affordable housing. And as you may recall, Madam President, I had an affordable housing bill last year for the 5 eastern towns on Long Island. I get it. And I think we all can agree that this is at critical mass. However, creating more regulations for landlords is not the answer. In fact, I think it's counterproductive and counterintuitive to the goals that we're trying to seek. So for those reasons, Madam President, I'm in the negative. Thank you.
Senator Palumbo to be recorded in the negative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 885, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Morello, Cancelara Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Hellman, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Robinson, Steck, Tedisco, Walzik, and Weber. Ayes 41, nays 17.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 981, Senate Print 448B by Senator Gianaris, enactment of the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 90th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 995, Senate Print 6776 by Senator Comrie, enactment of the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 180th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 999, Assembly number 4456 by Assemblymember Boris, enactment of the general business laws.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1001, Senate Print 5430 by Senator Matera, enactment of the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 30th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Matera to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President, for explaining my vote. First, I would like to thank legislator Nick Caracappa from Suffolk County for drafting a bill in Suffolk County. And we had a press conference with our county executive, Steve Ballone. It was unanimous vote on this bill. And just so everybody understands that we drive our roads, safety is key. Yeah, we have a lot of potholes, but we do not need to have the debris of cars that are being wrecked in an accident. And guess what? The car gets put on a tow truck or a flatbed, but all the rest of the debris is laid on the side and pushed off to the side. Not for anything, that is part of the car, part of the automobile. This is safety reasons. And This being a statewide bill is so important for the safety of our drivers and our motorcyclists. I'd like to thank ABATE, which is the American Bikers aimed towards education, for helping actually this bill, going to everybody and lobbying. This will make sure that the debris will be cleared from our roadways from any accident. And I look at this as preventive maintenance, so for our safety reasons for all of New Yorkers. So I am happy that this is a statewide to protect all New Yorkers, and I am proud to vote aye, Madam President, and I hope all my colleagues do the same. Thank you.
Senator Machero to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1001, voted in the negative, Senator Brooke. Ayes 57, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1006, Assembly number 150 by Assemblymember Paulin, enactment of the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 120th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1006, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Gallivan, Helming, Hinchey, Lanza, Mannion, Martinez, Matera, Murray, O'Mara, Ort, Rhodes, Rollison, Skoufis, Steck, Tedisco, Walzick, Webb, and Weber. Ayes 39, nays 19. Yeah. Calendar number 1015, Senate Press 6648 by Senator Sanders, enactment of the banking law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1015, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzani Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Helming, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzick, and Weber. Ayes 41, nays 17.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1017, Senate Print 1453 by Senator Sanders, enactment of the General Municipal Law and the Banking Law. Calendar number 1031.
Excuse me, 1 minute, I'm sorry. The bill is laid aside for the day.
Calendar number 1031, Senate Print 5026 by Senator Gurnardez, enactment of the Labor Law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the 180th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Gurnardez to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. Rise today in support of this bill, Freelance Isn't Free Act, which we're passing for the second time today. Across the country and in New York, more than a third of people in the workforce work as freelance workers or contract workers. Those numbers have only increased since the pandemic as people have switched careers or taken on other jobs to kind of make their ends meet. And amongst freelancers, 71% report late or non-payment for the services that they provide. 60% report that they live paycheck to paycheck. And on average, freelancers lose about $6,000 a year in lost payments for the work that they provide. Only 28% of freelancers say they have consistently received either payment or they even get a contract for what they do. So what Freelance Isn't Free is meant to do is actually help extend workplace protections or payment protections to this growing segment of our workforce. It would allow every freelancer the right to a written contract on their terms that dictates how and when they are to be paid. It mandates a standard 30-day payment term unless their contract says otherwise. It includes payment agreement protections so that clients can't require that freelancers accept less payment up front in the promise of full payment in 3 months, 6 months, or a year. And it also says that clients can't retaliate against freelancers for pursuing payment. This is based on a very successful model we've seen work in New York City for the last 6 years, and because of that, millions of dollars have been recouped on behalf of freelance workers who are being paid the value for their honest day's work. I implore and ask my colleagues to support this bill to help freelancers in every corner of the state, from Buffalo to Brooklyn and everywhere in between, and I proudly vote aye. Thank you.
Senator Gennard is to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1031, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Castanet Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Helming, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, and Weber.
Helming in the affirmative.
Senator Helming is in the affirmative. Ayes 44, nays 14.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1035, Senate Print 6660 by Senator Martinez, an act in relation to authorizing a study on lithium-ion battery fires and prevention.
Read the last section.
Section 3, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1036, Senate Print 5402 by Senator Hoyman Siegel, enactment of the Domestic Relations Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Hoyman Siegel to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, with all the talk of sneakers and our amazing messengers and the anniversary of hip-hop, I need to say today, Happy Pride, because today is June 1st, the beginning of Pride, and thank you. Thank you. And I'm mindful of this important day because I represent Stonewall, which is the birthplace of the modern LGBTQ human rights movement, as well as sponsoring this bill which would amend the domestic relations law to prevent a judge from considering the sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, or prohibiting a parent from undergoing a gender reassignment when making a determination in a child custody case. The reason this is so important, Madam President, among other reasons, including today being the first day of Pride, is that there is a campaign across this country targeting transgender kids and their families. Right-wing lawmakers and groups are making trans kids their #1 target. There are currently 474 anti-LGBTQ bills introduced in state houses just like this across the country, over 100 of which seek to eliminate gender-affirming care and criminalize the parents and healthcare providers who help kids access gender-affirming care. And 48 of these anti-LGBTQ bills have already been passed into law, and 14 states have banned gender-affirming care for kids entirely. This bill is an important statement. We need to do more, and I hope we do before the end of the session, to protect families and their children who are seeking gender-affirming care, to prevent kids from literally being separated from their parents in their search for their true selves. And that's what Pride is all about, Madam President, is acknowledging your true self and being damn proud of it. I vote aye.
Senator Hoyman Siegel to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Brisbois to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to Senator Hoyman Siegel for sponsoring this bill. You know, In the Children and Families Committee, we often talk about the best things for children and families, and what's becoming clearer and clearer is that all families of many types are valuable, and the best thing for children is to make sure that they can stay with their parents. So I'd like to thank Senator Hoylman-Siegel again for moving this bill, and happy Pride.
Senator Brisboard to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce results.
List count at 1036. Those senators voting in the negative are Senators Borrello, Kansanen Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Helming, O'Mara, Ort, Rhodes, Steck, and Walzek. Ayes 49. Also Senator Tedisco. Ayes 48, nays 10.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1065, Senate Print 6646 by Senator Ramos, enactment of the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Relation count at 1065, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Kansanen Fitzpatrick, Helming, Oberacker, O'Mara, Rhodes, Walzek, and Weber. Ayes 50, nays 8.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1066, Senate Print 6651 by Senator Ramos, enactment of the workers' compensation law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 30th day, and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1128, Assembly number 7354 by Assembly Member Thiel, enactment Chapter 387 of the laws of 2013.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1128, voted in the negative, Senator Skoufis, ayes 57, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1133, Assembly number 4994 by Assembly Member Blankenbush, enactment of the criminal procedure law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1139, Assembly number 6107 by Assembly Member Thiel, enactment Chapter 435 of the laws of 2014.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1139, voted in the negative are Senators Bridgeport and Martinez, ayes 56, nays 2.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1144, Assembly number 6569 by Assembly Member Fall, enactment Chapter 395 of the laws of 1978.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce results.
In relation to calendar 1144, voted in the negative, Senator O'Mara, ayes 57, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1151, Senate Print 6673 by Senator Martinez, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect January 1st, 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1154, Assembly number 7432 by Assembly Member Lunsford, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1155, Senate Print 6947 by Senator Martinez, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1156, Assembly number 7435 by Assembly Member Wallace, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1157, Assembly number 7436 by Assembly Member McMahon, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1158, Assembly number 7439 by Assembly Member Burdick, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1159, Assembly number 7440 by Assembly Member Simone, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1160, Assembly number 7441 by Assemblymember Otis, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1161, Assembly number 7442 by Assemblymember Levenberg, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1162, Assembly number 7443 by Assemblymember Williams, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1164, Assembly number 7438 by Assemblymember Lee, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1176, Senate Print 6808 by Senator Mannion, an act to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 13, this act shall take effect on the 180th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1177, Senate Print 6889 by Senator Martinez, an act to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 1st of November.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1196, Senate Print 2006 by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the Executive Law.
Read the last section.
Section 12, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes. 11. In relation to calendar 1196, voted in the negative, Senator Helming. Ayes 57, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1208, Senate Print 1418 by Senator Comrie, an act to amend the Education Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1211, Assembly number 1313 by Assemblymember McDonald, an act to amend Chapter 672 of the laws of 1993.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1219, Assembly number 7361 by Assemblymember Davia, an act to amend Chapter 436 of the laws of 1997.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Relation to calendar 1219, voted in the negative, Senator Walzig. Ayes 57, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1226, Senate Print 6975 by Senator Salazar, an act to amend the Executive Law.
The bill is laid aside for the day.
Calendar number 1240, Senate Print 2271 by Senator Liu, an act to amend the Real Property Law and the Civil Practice Law and Rules.
Read the last section.
Section 6, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1240, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Kanzler Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Griffo, Hellman, Matera, Murray, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzig, and Weber. Ayes 42. Oh, I said that. Ayes 42, nays 16.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1247, Assembly number 6587 by Assemblymember Levine, an act to amend Chapter 455 of the laws of 1997.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results. Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Nope. Calendar number 1251, Senate Print 6647 by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the banking law.
The bill is laid aside for the day.
Calendar number 1252, Assembly number 7172 by Assemblymember Seawright, enactment chapter 223 of the laws of 1996.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1253, Senate Print 6930 by Senator Sanders, enactment chapter 591 of the laws of 2001.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1257, Senate Print 3529A by Senator Fernandez, enactment of the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this action take effect 12 months after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Fernandez to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. Many times we've been talking about this on the floor, the need to normalize the conversation around periods and menstrual products, and this bill right here adds to that. All of us know somebody, love somebody, probably are that person that may use menstrual products, and it is our responsibility, I feel, to make sure that those products be the most safe for human use, and this bill would prevent prevent the use of certain chemicals in being in our menstrual products. These are products that go in us, on us, and we should be removing any chemicals that can harm us. So I'm very happy to see this on the floor. I thank you all for the support. I proudly vote aye.
Senator Fernandez to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1261, Senate Print 5991A by Senator Prasad, enactment of the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1266, Senate Print 600 by Senator Salazar, enactment of the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this action take effect on the 60th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1266, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzone Fitzpatrick, Galvin, Griffo, Hellman, Matera, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzig, and Weber. Ayes 43, nays 15.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1268, Senate Print 1860 by Senator Brooke, enactment of the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect on the 180th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1268, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Galvin, and Hellman. Also, Senator Walzig. Ayes 54, nays 4.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1269, Senate Print 2469 by Senator Parker, enactment of the Public Service Law and the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this action will take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1269, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzone Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Hellman, Oberacker, Senator Hellman in the affirmative, Senator Griffo in the negative, Senator Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rhodes, Tedisco, and Walzig. Ayes 48, nays 10.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1273, Senate Print 2674 by Senator Fernandez, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Senator Kruger to explain her vote.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I rise to strongly support this bill and to urge my colleagues to think twice before they vote no. We know that homeless youth suffer a disproportionate series of problems, both as young people without families or without foster care or any services, and that haunts them the rest of their lives. This bill will allow the small number of programs desperately trying to serve this population to be able to keep their arms wrapped around them and continue to provide desperately needed services for a few more years of age. And this is so critical. I have a couple of these programs in my district. They are doing amazing work. They are protecting young people from being forced into human trafficking, an issue we discussed quite a bit on this floor yesterday. And so I want to thank Senator Fernandez for taking the lead on this, and I think it's just so important that the state of New York recognize, as we have for other categories of young people, that they need a few more years of help before they are let out of any protections of government services. And this is a perfect example of what we should be doing for young people without families or homes to go to. Thank you. I vote yes.
Senator Kruger to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Fernandez to explain her vote.
What she said. No, I'm very No, I thank you, Senator Kruger, for your kind words and true words. I'm very honored to hold this bill because our young people do need the most help right now. And this bill actually does help a demographic that we just highlighted. This is the first day of Pride Month, and unfortunately it is our young LGBTQ children, members, family, neighbors that do find themselves in homelessness longer than others. So this will absolutely save lives, add to aiding the housing crisis that we do have, and making sure that people, our loved ones, have a chance to real prosperity. Thank you. I vote aye.
Senator Fernandez to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce results.
In relation to calendar 1273, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzone Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Helming, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Steck, Walzig, and Weber. Ayes 43, nays 15.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1274, Senate Print 3011 by Senator Liu, an act in relation to ordering a study and report on a proposed extension of the Long Island Motor Parkway Trail.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1276, Assembly number 358 by Assemblymember Bronson, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 120th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1276, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzone Fitzpatrick, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Steck, Tedisco, and Senator Walzig. Ayes 45, nays 13.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1284, Assembly number 5075 by Assemblymember McDonald, an act to authorize William Shoemaker and Mark Hennessy to receive certain service credit under Section 384D of the Retirement and Social Security Law.
There's a home rule message at the desk. Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1289, Senate Print 6701 by Senator Fernandez, an act to amend the mental hygiene law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 180th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Senator Fernandez to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. So we all know that I am your humble chair of the Committee of Alcohol and Substance Use Disorder, where with the Office of OASIS, we help the New Yorkers dealing with addiction. and it cannot be overseen the addiction crisis that affects those that gamble. Gambling addiction is very real, it is growing, and as we continue to talk and work towards doing more in the state with new casinos, with legalizing mobile betting, to have the Gambling Advisory Council is so important at this very moment. This council is the creation of, this is the creation of the Problem Gambling Advisory Council. It is a proactive step in tackling the challenges posed by problem gambling. And this would create a board of professionals. Let me get the right notes. It would put together a board to make sure that we are addressing and reaching those that may be showing signs of over-gambling and addiction to gambling. So I hope that this does get through because, again, as we grow in the state and we see casinos growing and online activity with sports growing, this is something that will help New Yorkers not fall into gambling addiction, gambling debt, and we can have fun with the act of gambling. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing this continue to pass and to become reality. So again, we have another program that is protecting, helping New Yorkers, and making sure that no one falls into any dark place of gambling. Thank you.
Senator Fernandez to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Addabbo to explain his vote.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Good afternoon, everybody. And, whenever we do advance or expand gaming in New York, whether it be with the nation's #1 mobile sports betting product or with the downstate license, that product, that a process that's already started, whenever we do these expansions of gaming, what should always, and really has been always on the forefront, is the issue of problematic gaming and how we address it. And I want to thank my friend here, Senator Fernandez, for doing this bill, because if implemented correctly, this council will provide a blueprint on how we not only address the issue of problematic gaming and acknowledge it and address it, but also to try and find a way and make sure that we help people before they get really into the addiction. So before they lose the house, before they affect their lives and their families' lives, this council should find a way to, again, address that issue of that individual. So I want to thank Senator Fernandez, and hopefully this, again, bill can advance in the other house as well. And I'll be voting aye. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Addabbo to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1304, Senate Print 6863 by Senator Stavisky, an act to amend the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act shall take effect January 1st, 2024.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1305, Senate Print 6936 by Senator Stavisky, an act to amend the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1306, Senate Print 6937 by Senator Stavisky, an act to amend the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1311, Senate Print 4087 by Senator Helming, an act to authorize Michael Teleska to take the competitive civil service examination.
There's a home rule message at the desk. Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1311, voted in the negative, Senator Bridgeport, ayes 57, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1318, Senate Print 805 by Senator Serrano, an act to amend the Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 180th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White. Got it.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1318, voted in the negative, Senator Ort, ayes 57, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1321, Senate Print 5670 by Senator Gallivan, an act to amend the Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1321, voted in the negative, Senator Skoufis, ayes 57, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1327, Senate Print 6460 by Senator Kruger, an act to amend the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Senator Kruger to explain her vote.
Thank you very much. This bill was passed last year, unfortunately vetoed by the governor, so we're giving it another shot. New York State basically doesn't approve for-profit health care. We have a couple of exceptions. They haven't worked so well, for the record. But what we know already is that states that have allowed for-profit hospices to expand have ended up with literally crisis problems of scammers, of drawing down the money without providing the services. I'm a big supporter of hospice care and palliative care, but we need to do it the right way in New York State. We passed some laws expanding the programs. We should be doing more, but if we let for-profits, particularly those of ill repute, expand into our marketplace here in New York State, we are going to be very sorry in a few years. And I'd like us to avoid the mistakes made by many other states in this country, well documented now, including by the Center on Economics and I'm getting the name wrong, so I'll have to, anybody who wants the report, ask me, CEPR, and I'm trying to remember the nickname right now. So we know that this doesn't work. We should protect New Yorkers from it not working here. I'm urging a yes vote. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Krueger to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1327, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzone Fitzpatrick, Griffo, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, and Steck. Also, Senator Tedisco. Ayes 44, nays 14.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1336, Senate Print 4047 by Senator Fernandez, enactment of the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 180th day. It shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to calendar 1336, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzone Fitzpatrick, Hellman, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Tedisco, Walzik, and Weber. Also, Senator Griffo. Ayes 43, nays 15.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1337, Senate Print 4402 by Senator Kennedy, enactment of the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Kennedy to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise today to speak on this bill that I'm proud to sponsor, and I want to thank our great Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins, for prioritizing it on behalf of working families all across New York State, and quite frankly, all across this country, because New York State is a leader in this space. Right now, if you are a frontline worker on strike, fighting for better wages for yourself and your family, strengthened safety conditions in the workplace, a fair contract, you're unable to collect unemployment insurance until you hit 2 weeks on the strike line. Not too long ago, that wait was even longer. It was actually 7 weeks. And because of the work of this conference and this Senate and our partners in government, we were able to lessen that waiting period to 2 weeks. But it's still far too long. Waiting an extra week on top of what everyone else has to wait for in order to collect unemployment puts an extra strain on these workers that are out there simply trying to get the benefits and wages that they rightfully earn and deserve each and every day. And while we've done better than we have in the past, unfortunately, with a prior administration and a prior chapter amendment to the original bill, that was a 1 week waiting period, which is what the bill before us does here today. We ultimately settled on 2 weeks. So this rectifies that, ensures that we level the playing field for all workers across the board, whether they are filing for unemployment from being laid off or whether they're out on the line fighting for themselves and their families. You know, 2 weeks doesn't necessarily seem like quite that long until you're out of work, until you miss that paycheck. You know, it could mean a missed car payment. could mean a missed mortgage payment, daycare costs, or just simply struggling to pay utility bills or put food on the table, all because one is seeking better wages for themselves and, again, their families. So we are making sure that when it comes to striking workers, that they have a fair and level playing field and don't get the vindictive actions of the managing corporation, whoever that may be, to squeeze them out until they settle for less than they deserve. So we are very proud to move this bill once again here today. Madam President, I want to thank all of our colleagues for their support on this important bill. And it has a real life impact. All you have to do is ask the striking workers who were out on the line at Mercy Hospital in South Buffalo not too long ago for over 30 days. Those frontline workers that were there for us during the most difficult time in human history, the last pandemic of COVID-19, and that they were strained by a fight with management, and they ended up out on the line for what was a historic fight, but they were able to get the benefits after 2 weeks because of the legislative actions of this chamber and others. We want to make sure that all have that at 1 week, and when it comes to working families across New York State, they know that we're listening, we're fighting for them and with them, and they get that relief that they rightfully deserve. With that, Madam President, I vote aye.
Senator Kennedy, to be recorded in the affirmative, announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1337, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Lanza, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Tedisco, Walzek, and Weber. Ayes 49, nays 9.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1339, Senate Print 944A by Senator Jackson, enactment of the election law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sue Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1339, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Kanzani Fitzpatrick, Griffo, Hellman, Patera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Skoufis, Stack, Tedisco, Walzek, and Weber. Ayes 41, nays 17.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1340, Senate Print 2331 by Senator Myrie, enactment of the election law.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 1341, Senate Print 2333 by Senator Myrie, enactment of the election law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sue Cousins, White.
After this, I have to go. Senator Borrello to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill requires that the Board of Elections publish biographical information of candidates. Was quick to think about the fact that, what if George Santos had submitted his biographical information to Nassau County, and would the Board of Elections be required to vet that information? But more importantly, this also requires that the Board of Elections buy advertising and advertise 4 times a day about an election upcoming. I think we are already inundated with political advertising, and we certainly know who the candidates are and when the election is. And the fact that we're going to dedicate resources for something that already is in overabundance and require our Board of Elections to ensure that biographical information is actually accurate is just irresponsible. So I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Senator Borrello to be recorded in the negative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1341, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borello, Canzeri Fitzpatrick, Galvin, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Oberecker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzick, and Weber. Ayes 40, nays 18.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1356, Senate Print 5941B by Senator Kavanaugh, enactment of the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to calendar 1356, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Matera and Murray. Ayes 56, nays 2.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1358, Assembly number 7401 by Assemblymember Wallace, enactment chapter 109 of the laws 2018.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1362, Assembly number 6029 by Assemblymember Paulin, enactment of the social services law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Madam President, can we lay aside for the day calendar 663 and then move to the controversial calendar to take up the one remaining bill?
Calendar number 663 is laid aside for the day. The secretary will ring the bell.
Calendar number 1340, Senate Print 2331 by Senator Myrie, enactment of the election law.
Senator Walzick, why do you rise?
Madam President, I rise to see if the sponsor would be willing to answer some questions about this bill.
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
Through you, Madam President, so this bill that you're proposing is to do a few things, change the election law to do a few things, to create at the state level a voter's guide to send out postcards to voters by household, and also to use what I would assume is taxpayer money for television and radio ads in the state of New York to remind people that it's Election Day. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam President, that is not correct. The bill requires, in addition to some of the things mentioned by my colleague, it also, if you have an email available to the Board of Elections, they can contact you that way. And regarding the TV and radio time, these are not advertisements. These are public service announcements of upcoming elections. It has nothing to do with the party or whomever is running, simply to let people know an election is coming up.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you for that clarification. In the first section here, when you're talking about the voter guide, and we've had some discussion in this chamber and even passed legislation through this chamber, I'm not sure how it's doing in the other house, but it was specifically about the leadership at the State Board of Elections and removing the partisanship or the bipartisan nature of the State Board of Elections, requiring that there be a balance of both a Republican leader and a Democrat leader, and saying, oh, not so important to have the balance of those two parties, but rather, we'll have leadership that will be selected. So I say that because in the first section, when you're talking about the voter guide, you're requiring the State Board of Elections to put together issue-based questions. And I wonder what the process, the State Board of Elections, whether they be, any party in the future or currently a Republican and a Democrat equally matched, what process will they use to determine what questions are appropriate for candidates on state literature and state biographical information that's going to be distributed?
Through you, Madam President, I'll address the question that pertained to this bill. The bill requires that the Board of Elections promulgate regulations and establish the formats and lengths by which these biographies, candidate statements would happen. When we do that, typically in our laws, when we allow for the agency to promulgate the regulations, We intentionally do not prescribe specifically how they should do that in order to leave it to the experts to take care of the promulgation. It is no different here in requiring the Board of Election to do that, and I would note on line 14 on page 1 of the bill, the information submitted by the candidate is a sworn statement, and in our statutes, a sworn statement would subject the person issuing the statement to criminal penalties should they be offering anything not truthful. So I leave it to the State Board of Elections and to the candidates under the penalty of law to come up with accurate biographies.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
We took up a bill not too long ago talking about how concise the nature of the language for constitutional amendments on the back of the ballot is. And I thought the goal of that was pretty laudable in sort of constraining the State Board of Elections to say, we don't want this to be propaganda on the back of the ballot. We want voters to be as informed as possible about what they're voting on as far as New York State constitutional amendments go. It was an interesting approach. So as you point out, and through Madam President, in line 14, that sworn statement is requiring biographical information be forwarded to the State Board of Elections, but also information about the candidate's occupation, educational and occupational background, prior governmental experience, and any other personal background or experience that the candidate deems relevant. Nice to give them some leeway there in defining themselves on their own political campaign and what will be state-sponsored propaganda. But what is really still the question to me is why is included in line 18 issue-based questions drafted by the State Board of Elections? Why is that included here?
Through you, Madam President, firstly, let me step back. The characterization that this is encouraging or somehow implicitly accepting propaganda is a characterization that I would deeply disagree with. This system is in place in New York City. The Campaign Finance Board issues these voter guides for every single election, and as far as I know, there have not been any issues with the content of those voter guides. And I also think personally that there might be some constitutional issues should we encourage the government to censor political speech. That aside, the issue-based questions, I would also point to the construction of the current board, State Board of Elections, that is bipartisan, that does require bipartisan agreement for the promulgation of regulations. And so in crafting issue statements, and again, I know you pointed to the later line, but if you look to the second paragraph of the statute, that there will be a regulatory process by which you or others could offer public comments on the format and the content of how these biographies and issue statement questions would be formulated.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
So same question, why is it required in this bill that you're proposing today to have issue-based questions drafted by the State Board of Elections at all? Why wouldn't it be the job of political campaigns to define themselves and the issues that are important to them by function of their own campaign?
Madam President, this doesn't limit what a political candidate can do or say or use as an instrument of persuasion to voters. But as far as the State Board of Elections or a local board, if the State Board of Elections deems that necessary, their role in this process is really for information purposes, for the issues like in the New York City voter guide model, like housing. The candidate is free to say whatever they want to on that. And I would note again that these are candidates, not a candidate for a single party, but every candidate that is running in that election. And if there are issues with the promulgation of the issue statements, again, there is an opportunity for public comment, as with all of our other regulations.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
So in Section 5 of this bill, you're requiring the State Board of Elections to mail and email, if the registered voter's email is available, every registered voter in each household of the state this voting guide. How much will that cost?
Through you, Madam President, up to $5 million.
Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
So if there's 7 voters in a household and State Board of Elections has 0 email addresses on file, will that household receive 7 voter guides or just 1 for the household, by the way that you've written it here?
Through you, Madam President, it would go to each voter because we are trying to give as much information as possible, and as all of us are familiar with, not each household is unanimous in their political affiliation. And there may be households that have different viewpoints on things and may receive the same information very differently. And so it's important that we give each voter that opportunity to make that judgment call.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield? The sponsor yields.
In Section 6, you're also charging the State Board of Elections to maintain a state website that has this information. Is there a cost associated with that?
Through you, Madam President, that is included in the up to $5 million I referenced earlier.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
In the section about postcards, in this instance, for the postcards that you'll be sending out within a time period prior to the election, reminding folks that an election is coming in case they missed all of the TV and radio ads and mail that they're already receiving in. In this instance, you're not requiring each member of the household receive that postcard, are you?
President, no.
Senator, you responded to your question?
Could you, through you, Madam President, would you be willing to repeat that response?
Senator, can you respond?
Absolutely. Through you, Madam President, no.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
How will State Board of Elections, say it's a household of 7, by way of example again, how will State Board of Elections determine which member of the household gets the postcard?
President, as I think is President, as I've mentioned a number of times here, this would be through a regulatory process by which there will be bipartisan participation to ensure that this is the most effective and commonly shared purpose between the two parties, the most effective way to reach voters.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
Well, I am hopeful that, State Board of Elections has processes through Republicans and Democrats at the top, and, hopefully that leadership balance is maintained so that we can have both free and fair elections here in the state of New York. I do have some concerns if you consider an odd number household, for example, where 7's probably not a bad number for me to pick as a hypothetical. If 3 Democrats live in that household and 4 Republicans live in that household, putting the Republican and Democrat elections commissioners at the State Board of Elections at a decision whether to pick the Republicans or the Democrats or one or the other to send the postcard to may present an undue challenge and is inconsistent with prior provisions in even your bill and that you've admitted to in this debate. But I don't want to belabor this for too long. I do have a question about the final section, if you would continue to yield.
Does the sponsor yield?
I would, and I would quickly address the point, although there was not a question there. The same voter guide would be sent to the voter regardless of their party affiliation. And so the concerns about the board picking whether Democrats or Republicans would receive a postcard is immaterial, but I will continue to yield.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you. The last section here is probably going to be the most perplexing to constituents that may have questions to me about how this law is going to apply, or if this becomes law, how it's going to apply in our election systems. This is the section where we're requiring for 10 consecutive days for each both primary and general election that there be consistent ads on the television and the radio reminding folks that Election Day is coming. Why is this section included in your bill?
Through you, Madam President, and I'd first say I think there is a philosophical difference that will not be resolved in our conversation here today. I am of the belief that more information on our democracy, more information on how you can participate, more reminders are always a good thing. I believe my friend on the other side may disagree with that. But on the substance, the last line in that section says each of the 4 required notifications. So this isn't consistent, to borrow your phrase. This is 4 consecutive 4 messages per day for 10 consecutive days, and these are not advertisements. These are public service announcements.
For you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
We have public service announcements about a number of different topics, and sometimes we even use taxpayer money to fund public service announcements. Sometimes it's in partnership with broadcasters who just want to do the right thing. Will the state be paying for the time to broadcasters on the TV and radio when they have these public service announcements about the election that's upcoming?
Through you, Madam President, as I mentioned earlier, the cost associated with this, including this section, could be up to $5 million.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
So the cost to put the public service announcements on the TV, for example, that's included. So the television broadcasters will be paid by taxpayer money in order to provide that service for the state?
Through you, Madam President, they are using public airwaves that belong to New Yorkers, and to uphold our democracy, I think it's important that if you are both making money from using our public airwaves, that should also be a medium by which voters should be notified of upcoming elections.
Yeah, through you, Madam President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
I'm just trying to find out whether the state's going to be paying the TV and the radio for the time or not.
Madam President, this would not change the method by which the state issues public service announcements, not just on elections, but for health-related concerns or tourism concerns. This would not change how the state does this under the normal course of business. It would be the same exact process.
Through you, Madam President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
In the memo that you've written and adjacent to this legislation and submitted, you list the cost as none to the state, but you've referenced multiple times in this debate that this could be up to $5 million. Was there a state appropriation in the budget for $5 million? And if not, who is going to pay that $5 million?
Madam President, no specific appropriation for this in the budget. We have historically given money to our local boards, and this year gave more than we have since we've assumed the majority. But this is an issue that I'd be happy to revisit should this bill become law in the next year's budget.
And through you, Madam President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
So again, your memo says none to the state. Would we require a $5 million appropriation in next year's budget if this is signed into law, or is someone else going to be paying for this?
President, the number that I mentioned earlier is an estimate. Should this bill become law, we would engage the State Board of Elections, we would engage our local boards of elections to determine what the need would be exactly, and would be happy to discuss with my colleague and the rest of the chamber how we can invest to ensure that this is run appropriately.
Madam President, on the bill.
Senator Walczak on the bill.
Well, when I first read this bill and it came through committee and we had some committee discussion, I was confused about some of the motivation, frustrated by some of the goals. I have yet to come across someone who at the end of the political season says to me, oh gosh, I missed Election Day. If only they had 10 days of public service announcements on the TV and radio to inform me that there was an upcoming election, then I would have remembered to get out there. But we should get down to Albany and do something about that. I wish you would use $5 million of my taxpayer dollars to remind me before. Imagine this concept, using taxpayer money. And now I'm even less sure about whose taxpayer money, whether it's going to be local board of elections or the state at a future date, because the memo and some of the information has been inconsistent today. But usually, Madam President, people are pretty frustrated by the amount of junk mail that they receive in their boxes, the inundation that they get for political ads on the TV and on the radio, and they're looking forward to the end of the political cycle like many of us are, so that all of that stuff is gone. Nobody has approached me and said, gosh, if only we had the state out there providing more political messaging on campaigns. So I know my colleague from across the aisle does want to enfranchise more voters, does want to encourage people to get out to vote, and wants to make sure that everybody's informed. I think that's a laudable goal. I think this bill tremendously misses the mark. And there's also something included here that I think is dangerous to our representative democracy. So that piece is going to be frustrating to constituents when they see the state is wasting taxpayer money, advertising to them that there's an election coming up. Believe me, if they're going to vote, they know that there's an election coming up. But there's a piece in here that's going to require the State Board of Elections, the same State Board of Elections that this body has pushed legislation forward to, and there is a movement to remove the bipartisan nature of requiring that State Board of Elections to define candidates. There is a line in here that requires the State Board of Elections to define which issues are the most important on a campaign. In a representative democracy, it is not the job of a government to decide what issues are the most important on the campaign. It's not the job of some bureaucrat at the State Board of Elections, Republican, Democrat, or bipartisan, to decide what issues. It's our job to decide what issues are the most important on a campaign, and it's our job, driven by the people that we represent. That's how you win and lose campaigns. You go out and you listen to the people that you represent. They drive the focus, and then we come here and do the job. It is not top-down. It's bottom-up. That's how representative democracy is designed. So, Madam President, I'll be voting no on this, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same.
Thank you. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. Secretary will ring the bell. Senator Gineris.
Madam President, let's return this to the non-controversial calendar, please.
The bill will be returned to the non-controversial calendar. Read the last section.
Section 3 is asked to take effect on the 180th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Sue Cousins, White.
Senator Borrello to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. What I said on the previous bill, I'm still a no. Thank you.
Senator Borrello to be recorded in the negative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1340, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Canzani Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Patera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzig, and Weber. Ayes 40, nays 18.
The bill is passed. Senator Gineris, that completes the reading of the calendar.
Can we now return to resolutions and take up previously adopted Resolution 938 by Senator Hinchey? Read its title and recognize Senator Hinchey.
Secretary will read.
Resolution 938 by Senator Hinchey, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim June 2023 as Dairy Month in the state of New York.
Senator Hinchey on the resolution.
Hi, Madam President. I rise today to celebrate June as Dairy Month in the state of New York. It's often important to start these comments with a frame of how important the dairy sector and our dairy farmers are to New York State. Dairy is the largest sector of New York's agricultural industry. We are 5th in the nation as the largest dairy state, 5th largest dairy state in the nation. And for every job created by dairy food manufacturers, an additional 5 jobs are created indirectly through vendors, contractors, and others. It's also important to know that dairy farmers are some of the best people I know across our state. It may surprise people to know that here in New York,
Excuse
we
me,
have
Senator Hinchy, can we have some order in the chamber, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Because our dairy farmers deserve it. They're some of the best people that I know, and I think many of us know across the state. It may surprise people that almost all of the dairies here are small dairies. And the farmers who run them, the farmers who manage them, actually have names for every single cow that's in their herd and on their farm. They know them by face. They engage with them. They're almost like parts of the family. Actually, they are really, truly parts of the family for these farmers. And yet, our dairy farmers are facing a crisis. Just over the last month and a half, when we've asked for statistics around the number of dairy farms in New York, we originally were told 3,600, and just in the last month, we're now down to 3,200. Over the last 10 years, 2,000 dairy farms have closed. And we're hopeful that this trajectory will change, and we are calling upon our federal partners to do more in the Farm Bill to actually support not just agriculture and our dairy farmers, but specifically fluid milk here in the state of New York. We just recently held Dairy Day on May 23rd in partnership with the Northeast Dairy Foods Association, NEDPA, the New York State Cheese Manufacturers Association, and others, where many in this chamber were able to taste and engage with so many of the delicious products that are created right here in New York. And some big name brands people didn't even realize were here, being created and being sold right here in New York. So it's a great day for us to celebrate June as Dairy Month, but we also must remember that we have a lot more to do to support those farmers and those people who provide us the delicious food that we all love to consume and enjoy. So thank you, Madam President. I vote aye.
Senator Borrello on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to first of all thank Senator Hinchy, the Chair of Agriculture. I'm proud to be the ranking member and to also rise to celebrate June as Dairy Month. You know, even though it's mostly small dairy farms, dairy is big business in New York State. It is the #1 agricultural product here in New York State, and I'm proud to represent the largest dairy producing county in New York State, Wyoming County. We also have lots of other important businesses in the dairy industry. We are building the most state-of-the-art cheese-making facility in the nation right now as we speak in Cattaraugus County, where our good friends at Great Lakes Cheese are expanding their operation. And currently, right now, Great Lakes Cheese not only employ hundreds of people, hundreds of New Yorkers, but there are also 32,000 dairy cows that every single day supply milk for the cheese that they make that gets shipped around the world. And that number is going to go up as they double in size as they move to their new facility in Cattaraugus County. So we are proud, very proud of our strong dairy industry here in New York State. And if you ate today, thank a farmer. I proudly vote aye.
Thank you. Senator Webb on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise today to thank Senator Hinchy for bringing forth this important resolution, calling to attention, recognizing June as National Dairy Month here in our state. So as it's been shared, agriculture is a cornerstone of our economy here in the state, where our farmers support jobs and communities across our state. According to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, in 2021, agriculture in New York produced roughly $3.3 billion in gross domestic product and paid close to $1 billion in wages. In rural districts like mine, where we do have farms, it's critically important that we do all that we can as a state to support our farming community. Dairy farmers are the heart of our agricultural industry here in New York, and according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, milk is our state's largest agricultural commodity, as my colleague just mentioned a moment ago, ranking 5th nationally in sales. Dairy farmers are vitally important to the health of our communities, providing access to locally produced, delicious, and nutritious dairy products. One of the lessons that we learned in watching the ripple effects of the pandemic as it disrupted our national food supply is that having access to locally sourced foods is critically important to protecting the food security of all New Yorkers. And our dairy farmers play a big role in that, in our state's health and economy. And so, again, we must continue our efforts to support agriculture and ensure that our dairy farmers thrive so that they can continue to feed and nourish New York. I am proud to support this resolution. I proudly vote aye, and I want to thank Senator Hinchey again for bringing this resolution to the floor. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. The resolution was previously adopted on May 9th. Senator Gianaris.
Can we now move on to previously adopted Resolution 1277 by Senator Scarcella-Spanton? Read its title and recognize Senator Scarcella-Spanton.
The Secretary will read.
Resolution 1277 by Senator Scarcella-Spanton, commending the Pride Center of Staten Island upon the occasion of hosting its Pride Fest Festival on May 27, 2023.
Senator Scarcella-Spanton on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President, and happy Pride, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today to shine a light on the great work that the Pride Center of Staten Island does year-round. Carol Bullock, who's the executive director of the Pride Center, has been instrumental in creating visibility and community support for the center for years. She has tirelessly paved the way for the LGBT+ community on Staten Island, from events like Pride Fest to her Rainbow Run, and I want to commend her for her leadership. Pride Fest is an opportunity for our community to come together. This is particularly important because of the adversity that they still face to this day. I promise the Pride Center to always raise awareness of this issue whenever I have the opportunity. The Staten Island Pride Center is one of the few LGBT groups left in the entire country and honestly around the world that is not allowed to march in our local St. Patrick's Day parade. I find this fundamentally wrong that they are still excluded from participating after all these years. So I wanted to stand on this floor today to say that I will do everything I can to stand by your side, to make sure that you're included. And, you know, it's taken a long time to do this, but I always wanted to quote Taylor Swift on the floor of the Senate. So I said, "She ain't never made anybody less gay," is my message to the organizers. So thank you very much. Happy Pride. I'm so happy to honor you guys today. I proudly vote aye. Thank you.
The resolution was previously adopted on May 31st. Senator Gianaris.
And now previously adopted Resolution 1047 by Senator Hinchey. Read its title. Recognize Senator Hinchey.
Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 1047 by Senator Hinchey, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim May 28, 2023 as Menstrual Hygiene Day in the state of New York.
Senator Hinchey on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Period poverty is a dilemma that no person should ever have to face. And yet, in almost every community across New York, there are people who cannot afford these vital products. It's estimated that 1 in 4 teens have missed school because menstrual products weren't available to them. And on average, 2 in 5 people in the United States struggle to afford menstrual health products. Stigma, financial barriers, and sexism around menstruation force millions of people into period poverty every day. But here, starting in 2020, New York abolished the pink tax to make sure that menstruating people would no longer be subject to price discrimination when buying period products. And this majority over the last few years has made a strong commitment to not only raising awareness around this issue, but bringing real equity for people across our state, including expanding access to period products in shelters across upstate New York, something that was already provided in New York State, but we in this majority passed it for the rest of our state. We've expanded access in schools, and hopefully later this session, we'll be able to expand that to SUNY and CUNY campuses as well. Because no matter where you are, people need and should have access to period products just to live their life with dignity. It's something that we need to talk about, it's something we need to destigmatize, and it's something we need to all support. I want to thank United Way of the Greater Capital Region, Women United, and the Capital Region Menstrual Health Coalition for doing their work in a press conference in their coalition building around this issue. We were proud to stand with them yesterday in raising awareness for their lobby day. And I also want to thank Senator Webb for sponsoring this resolution with me and for all of her work in this space, making sure that everyone has equal access. Thank you very much, Madam President. For that, I vote aye.
Thank you. Senator Webb on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to explain my vote with regards to this resolution. This is such a critical and important issue, and I want to thank Senator Hinchey for her support, and also you, Senator Prasad, Madam President, for your work on this as well. We had a panel last week with regards to raising awareness about period poverty, and I think sometimes people take for granted how pervasive it is as it relates to this issue. And so this resolution is a continuation of the necessary awareness that we need to do, not just on days like this, but year-round as it pertains to ultimately ending period poverty. And as the chair of the Women's Issues Committee, I'm really proud of the work that we've been doing, especially during this legislative session, to raise awareness around period poverty and the need for equitable access to period supply so we can ultimately end the stigma that exists around it. As has already been said, for far too many women and girls, the cost of period products continues to grow, and it creates even more barriers as pertains to attending school, going to work, being fully engaged in your day-to-day life. And so it is important as a state that we continue to, again, remove barriers as it pertains to getting access to menstrual products and also raise awareness on, so that we can ultimately remove the stigma. I want to thank Senator Hinchey again for bringing forth this important resolution, and I encourage that we all, whether you are an individual who experiences your menstrual cycle or not, that we all collectively commit to ensuring equity for all menstruating women, because no one in our state or our country should have to miss school or work because of period poverty. I thank you, Madam President, and I proudly vote aye.
The resolution was previously adopted on May 23rd. Senator Gineris.
The sponsors of the resolutions we just took up would like to open them for co-sponsorship.
The resolutions are open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsorship, please notify the desk. Senator Gineris.
On behalf of Senator Sanders, on page 48, after the following amendments to calendar 1251, Senate 6647, ask that said bill retain its place on third reading calendar.
The amendments are received and the bill to retain its place on a third reading calendar. Senator Gineris.
Please take up the Rules Committee report that is at the desk.
The Secretary will read.
Senator Stewart-Cousins from the Committee on Rules reports the following bills. Senate Print 99 by Senator Gennard, an act to amend the labor law. Senate Print 932A by Senator Prasad, an act to amend the general business law. Senate Print 942A by Senator Bailey, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 1048A by Senator Cooney, an act to amend the general business law. Senate Print 1211 by Senator Prasad, an act to amend the executive law. Senate Print 1577 by Senator Brute, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 1746 by Senator Ramos, an act to amend the labor law. Senate Print 1863 by Senator Brute, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 1892 by Senator Stavisky, an act to amend the penal law. Senate Print 1900 by Senator Stavisky, an act to amend the vehicle and traffic law. Senate Print 2102 by Senator Harkema, an act to amend the criminal procedure law. Senate Print 2323A by Senator Bailey, an act to amend the public health law. Senate Print 2356 by Senator Felder, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 2399 by Senator Gennard, an act to amend the general business law. Senate Print 2465 by Senator Prasad, an act to amend the insurance law. Senate Print 2496 by Senator Mannion, an act to amend the social services law. Senate Print 2629A by Senator May, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 2904 by Senator Steck, an act to amend the highway law. Senate Print 2905 by Senator Steck, an act to amend the highway law. Senate Print 2956A by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the public authorities law. Senate Print 3036 by Senator Brute, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 3037 by Senator Walzig, an act to amend the highway law. Senate Print 3309A by Senator Skoufis, an act to amend the Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Law. Senate Print 3539 by Senator Breslin, an act to amend the General Business Law. Senate Print 3591A by Senator Breslin, an act to amend the Public Health Law. Senate Print 4100 by Senator Kennedy, an act to amend the Education Law. Senate Print 4306 by Senator Chu, enactment of the State Finance Law. Senate Print 4393 by Senator Martinez, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 4401A by Senator Webb, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 4501A by Senator Skoufis, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 4534 by Senator Harkam, enactment of the Transportation Law. Senate Print 4550 by Senator May, enactment of the Education Law. Senate Print 4558A by Senator Skoufis, enactment of the Public Authorities Law. Senate Print 4598 by Senator Bailey, enactment of the Education Law. Senate Print 4707A by Senator Walzak, enactment of the Highway Law. Senate Print 4862 by Senator Comrie, enactment of the Insurance Law. Senate Print 4864 by Senator Cooney, enactment of the Social Services Law. Senate Print 4897A by Senator Rollison, enactment of the Highway Law. Senate Print 4898A by Senator Rollison, enactment of the Highway Law. Senate Print 4900A by Senator Rollison, enactment of the Highway Law. Senate Print 4973 by Senator Gurnardes, enactment of the Labor Law. Senate Print 5201 by Senator Skoufis, enactment of the Insurance Law. Senate Print 5237 by Senator Ashby, enactment of the Highway Law. Senate Print 5254 by Senator Jackson, enactment of the Retirement and Social Security Law. Senate Print 5261A by Senator Salazar, enactment of the Education Law. Senate Print 5289 by Senator Mayer, enactment of the Retirement and Social Security Law. Senate Print 5327A by Senator Brisport, enactment of the Social Services Law. Senate Print 5396 by Senator Harkam, enactment of the Mental Hygiene Law. Senate Print 5423 by Senator Martinez, enactment of the Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Law. Senate Print 5424 by Senator Martinez, enactment of the Navigation Law. Senate Print 5426 by Senator Matera, enactment of the Highway Law. Senate Print 5521A by Senator Cooney, enactment of the Vehicle and Traffic Law. Senate Print 5574 by Senator Gurnardes, enactment of the Criminal Procedure Law. Senate Print 5591A by Senator Comrie, enactment of the Insurance Law. Senate Print 5650A by Senator Lieu, enactment of the Education Law. Senate Print 5728A by Senator Harkam, enactment of the Environmental Conservation Law. Senate Print 5741 by Senator Palumbo, enactment of the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton to provide health insurance coverage for enrolled members of the East Hampton Volunteer Ocean Rescue and Auxiliary Squad. Senate Print 5744 by Senator Gurnardes, enactment of the Retirement and Social Security Law. Senate Print 5853 by Senator Kruger, enactment of the Public Authorities Law. Senate Print 5867 by Senator Ramos, enactment of the Workers' Compensation Law. Senate Print 5897 by Senator Brisport, enactment of the Social Services Law. Senate Print 5971 by Senator Matera, enactment of the Highway Law. Senate Print 6050 by Senator Mayer, enactment of the Education Law. Senate Print 6097 by Senator Gurnardes, enactment of the Retirement and Social Security Law. Senate Print 6216 by Senator Jackson, enactment of the General Municipal Law. Senate Print 6246 by Senator Gurnardes, enactment of the Vehicle and Traffic Law. Senate Print 6247 by Senator Myrie, enactment of the Election Law. Senate Print 6253 by Senator Jackson, enactment of the General Municipal Law. Senate Print 6254 by Senator Jackson, enactment of the General Municipal Law. Senate Print 6293 by Senator Jackson, enactment of the Retirement and Social Security Law. Senate Print 6318 by Senator Henchy, enactment of the Public Service Law. Senate Print 6335A by Senator Mannion, enactment of the Civil Service Law. Senate Print 6339 by Senator Gurnardes, enactment of the Retirement and Social Security Law. Senate Print 6412 by Senator Kennedy, enactment of the Vehicle and Traffic Law. Senate Print 6416 by Senator Jackson, enactment of the Administrative Code of the City of New York. Senate Print 6458 by Senator Martinez, enactment of the Social Services Law. Senate Print 6534 by Senator Breslin, enactment of the Vehicle and Traffic Law. Senate Print 6537 by Senator Gurnardes, enactment of the Education Law. Senate Print 6542 by Senator Rivera, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 6552 by Senator Skoufis, enactment of the Public Authorities Law. Senate Print 6584 by Senator Gianaris, enactment of the Executive Law. Senate Print 6640B by Senator Kavanaugh, enactment of the Real Property Tax Law. Senate Print 6641A by Senator Rivera, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 6644B by Senator Mannion, enactment of the Highway Law. Senate Print 6733 by Senator Rivera, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 6862 by Senator Jackson, enactment of the General Municipal Law. Senate Print 6897 by Senator Rivera, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 6976 by Senator Jackson, enactment of the Retirement and Social Security Law. Senate Print 7000 by Senator Mannion, enactment of the Education Law. Senate Print 7012 by Senator Mannion, enactment to amend the Administrative Procedure Act. Senate Print 7082 by Senator Kennedy, enactment of the Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Law. Senate Print 7124 by Senator Parker, enactment of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Law. Senate Print 7152 by Senator Parker, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 7211 by Senator Claire, enactment of the Public Health Law. Senate Print 7225A by Senator Mannion, an act enacting the Syracuse Regional Airport Authority Design Build Act. Senate Print 7232 by Senator Ryan, enactment of the Economic Development Law. Senate Print 7259A by Senator Prasad, an act establishing a Fiscal Cliff Task Force. Senate Print 7358 by Senator Stuart Cousins, an act to allow Tammy Chavello to file an application for continuation of state health insurance benefits. Senate Print 7384A by Senator Krueger, an act to amend the real property tax law. Senate Print 7385 by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the insurance law. Senate Print 7386 by Senator Sepulveda, an act to amend the tax law. Senate Print 7331A by Senator Rollison, an act to amend Chapter 371 of the laws of 2020. Senate Print 7455 by Senator Serrano, an act to amend Chapter 192 of the laws of 2011. Senate Print 7461 by Senator Scarcella Spanton, an act to amend the real property tax law. Senate Print 7462 by Senator Ryan, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 7463 by Senator Mannion, an act to amend Chapter 563 of the laws of 2001. Senate Print 7464 by Senator Mayer, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 7465 by Senator Mannion, an act to amend the executive law. Senate Print 7474 by Senator Ramos, an act to amend Chapter 363 of the laws of 2010. Senate Print 7475 by Senator Hoyman Siegel, an act to amend the Surrogate Courts Procedure Act. Senate Print 7476 by Senator Gianaris, an act to amend the Civil Practice Law and Rules. Senate Print 7477 by Senator Rivera, an act to amend Part FFF of Chapter 59 of the laws of 2018. Senate Print 7478 by Senator Rivera, an act to amend Chapter 2 of the laws of 1998. Senate Print 7479 by Senator Rivera, an act to amend Chapter 81 of the laws of 1995. Senate Print 7480 by Senator Serrano, an act to amend Chapter 384 of the laws of 1998. Senate Print 7481 by Senator Cooney, an act to amend the cannabis law. Senate Print 7488 by Senator Ryan, an act to amend the judiciary law. Senate Print 7489 by Senator Comrie, an act to amend Chapter 303 of the laws of 1999. All bills reported to the third reading.
Report of the Rules Committee.
All those in favor of accepting the Rules Committee report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The report of the Rules Committee is accepted. Senator Gianaris.
Going back to motions for a moment, on behalf of Senator Sepulveda, on page 36, I offer the following amendments to calendar 1085, Senate 3315. Ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received and the bill will retain its place in the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
I move to adjourn until Monday, June 5th at 3 p.m. with the intervening days being legislative days.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Monday, June 5th at 3 p.m. with intervening days being legislative days.